Welcome to Joy for the Journey, the podcast where we explore the winding paths of purpose, faith, and joy. I'm your host, Joy, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. Are you a woman seeking more than just existence and a soul yearning for fulfillment, purpose, and unwavering joy? Well, you're not alone. In this sacred space, we'll navigate the highs and lows, the doubts and triumphs, and the divine whispers guiding us toward our true calling. Through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and practical insights, Joy for the Journey is your compass, your confidant, and your catalyst for embracing the abundant life God intends for you. So if you're ready to reclaim your joy, renew your hope, and rediscover the woman God created you to be, join me on this adventure. Let's walk together step by step towards a life filled with purpose, passion, and unbridled joy. This is Joy for the Journey. Welcome aboard. Hey, it's Joy Jackson speaking of joy, and welcome to Joy for the Journey. I say it all the time, and I mean it in every way possible. I am so very grateful for you continuing to walk this journey with me and to be a part of the Joy for the Journey experience. I love the journey that I'm on, and I love that I get to share that journey with you. So I am always grateful when someone listens to a new podcast episode or shares the podcast episode or attends a Monday Man and Bible study or a retreat or any event that Speaking of Joy does. So before I go any further, I just want to say thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. And now, listen, let me tell y'all something. I have been in this series in Monday Manna that is called Jireh. And it's so funny. So I started walking again just to ensure my emotional health, my physical health, and my mental health. And while I've been walking, I was walking one day. If you follow me on social media, you saw that I've been watching this tree bloom since there were no leaves. And one day while I was walking, I was really just minding my own business and praying. And God said to me, Jireh. Didn't know what it meant, didn't understand what it was about, but I was just like, okay, I know who Jehovah Jireh is. I know that's the God who provides. And so I'm like, okay, Jireh. But as I walked, and I walked about 2.5 miles, all I heard was Jireh, Jireh. And so I said, okay, God, I think there's a Bible study here. But I also realized that the reason that God kept dropping Jireh in my spirit is because he wanted me to look at him in a different way. Because that's why this podcast episode is so important to me, because the title of this podcast is We've Made Jireh Too Small. And I believe that. And I believe, even in my own personal life, that I have been looking at Jehovah Jireh in a way that is small, in a way that doesn't truly outline the characteristics of who God is and what he is capable of and what he's already done. I've spent a lot of time just expecting him to be the God who provides. And while that's who he is, it's so much more. And so, as I've been walking this journey with Jireh, as I've been just teaching the Bible study over the last 2 weeks, I decided to take what I've been teaching and put it into a podcast episode. And so here we are, where we're really talking about we've made Jireh too small. And so, as I want us to walk through this podcast episode together, I really want you to get this in your spirit. So, Jehovah Jireh is not just the God who provides. Okay, we know that. That's what the name Jehovah Jireh means, the God who provides. But he's also the God who prepares, who sustains, and who becomes what we need. So we've always made him the provision, but he's also the sustainer. He's also whoever we need him to be. In fact, when we look at Jireh, one of the things that we talk about with Jehovah Jireh is Jehovah also means he who becomes. Jehovah, he who becomes. And how do I know that? It's because when you look at Genesis, when Moses asked God, who shall I say sent me? And God said, I am that I am. And when you think about the amness of God, the I am of God, that's Jehovah. And then I am the provider. I become the provider. I become the sustainer. I become whatever it is you need. So I want you to get that in your spirit that he's so much bigger than just a provider. He's so much bigger than that. Because if Jireh was only about the God who gives, because that's what providing is, right? If he's only the God who gives, then we only recognize him when something shows up. I'll say it again. If Jehovah Jireh is only the God that provides, which means he gives, then that means we only recognize him when something shows up. So we only treat God as we treat him when he does something for us. So because he provides, I worship him. Because he provides, I follow him. Because he provides, I honor him. But it's not just God as a provider. That's who God is. But he is so much more. And I want you to just embrace the rest of this podcast as we talk through it, because I want you to see God as Jireh, but in such a different way. So I want to start with this. Jireh is preparation. That's point number one. Jireh is preparation. And you'll find that in Genesis 22, because this is a story of Abraham sacrificing Isaac. And while I don't have a lot of time on this podcast to walk that entire story, but just know that the amazing thing about Abraham was he told the guys that came with him, listen, you all wait right here, and my son and I are going up to worship, and we will be back to you. So when I really understand who Jehovah Jireh is, I've got to understand that I have to have a faith in his provision, and he is preparation. So even though Abraham didn't know what the outcome was, he was prepared to experience whatever Jireh was so that he would know that God will provide. Now, at the time, he didn't know God will provide, but he had enough faith in who God was to know that provision was around the corner, to know that provision was on the way. So much so that he trusted God all the way up to sacrificing Isaac. Now, listen, let's just talk real talk, right? How many of us trust the God to provide or the God who provides all the way until it makes us completely uncomfortable and we may possibly have to give up the one thing that we love? But we trust that if God removes it from us, that Jireh will provide something else, that Jireh will make provision, because that's the faith that Abraham had. He had no idea, but he was willing to sacrifice everything for God. This is not a part of this podcast, but listen. There comes a time in your life where if you're serious about the business of God, that you're going to have to sacrifice. And God ain't asking you to sacrifice the little things. He's trying to see if you will trust him enough to be your provider. So whatever it is you lose, he can give it back to you. Whatever it is you lose, he can restore. Whatever it is you lose, he can make it better for you. So this is who Jireh is. And as you read the rest of the story, you know what happens. Abraham is getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. And at that moment, an angel comes and tells Abraham not to do it and says, now look behind you and look up, and you see a ram in the thicket, meaning a ram in the bush. Here's what the beautiful thing about Jireh being who he is the ram didn't appear out of nowhere. The ram's assignment was to be caught right there so that Abraham would not have to sacrifice Isaac, but could sacrifice the ram. But the only reason that the ram was even there was because God provided this for him. Abraham was willing to trust him. After Abraham was willing to let him Isaac go, after Abraham decided that he would sacrifice everything for the glory of God. So he didn't even see. And the beautiful thing, if you read the story, just read the words, you notice that he goes up toward where he's going to sacrifice Isaac. And then he's told to look back. So that means he passed that way and didn't see the ram. Doesn't mean the ram wasn't there. It meant that Abraham wasn't looking at that time. And sometimes when Jireh is providing, we don't see it because we're so busy looking elsewhere. We're so consumed with what's going on in our life that we don't see it. So I challenge you, sister, to look up. Because here's what I believe, that God didn't create provision in that moment for Abraham, He revealed it. See, if God is, because God is a God of preparation, He doesn't have to wait until the moment to show that He's a provider. He's already providing. You just have to see it. He's already making ways. You just have to open your eyes and look. You just have to look up. I'm going to ask you this. How many times have we been stressed out about something that was already handled? I mean, think about it. We've spent time praying and crying, asking God to show us things, to help us. And God is like, I've already taken care of that. You are the one walking around here. You are the one concerned. You are the one who doesn't understand. You are the one who's snotting and crying about a situation when I've already handled it. I've already taken care of it. All you've got to do is look. All you've got to do is look for it. All you've got to do is trust me. All you've got to do is be willing to sacrifice, be willing to let go so that I can be God. So I want you to give me the opportunity to be the characteristic of who I am. And that is, I am that I am. I am the peace. I am the joy. I am everything you need. I just really need you to trust me. So in this example, Jireh was revealed in the moment, and Abraham looked up. And when he looked up, he saw the ram in the bush. You see, sometimes the provision isn't missing, it's just our focus is off. So let me give you another thought. As we're talking about Jireh, some things will only be provided when you go places you don't really want to go. I'll say it again. Some things will only be provided when you go to places you really don't want to go. Do you all really think that Abraham wanted to sacrifice his son? But had he never been willing to sacrifice Isaac, he never would have seen God, Jehovah Jireh. See, some of us are praying for God to show up in ways in our lives to be who He has promised us He will be. But He's saying, in order for me to be that, I've got to take you somewhere else, and you're not going to like it. But I've got to take you there. In order for me to be a healer, I've got to take you through sickness. In order for me to be a mind regulator, I've got to take you to some mental instability. In order for me to be a heart fixer, your heart has to be broken. In order for me to be supplying all of your needs, you got to have some lack. So sometimes provision and Jireh only occurs when you go the places you're not willing to go. So let me ask you, how far are you willing to go? I mean, seriously, where are you willing to go to see God be the provider and the promise keeper that He says He would? Okay, here's my second point. I know that seemed like a lot of points, right? Here's my second point. Jireh is daily. So Jireh's preparation, but Jireh is daily. What does that mean? That means so many times we're praying for God to do these big miraculous things when we don't realize that God is making a way every single day. Every single day. I don't have to wait for all the grand. Every single day, Jireh is providing for me. And so when I talk about Jireh providing every single day, I want you to look at Exodus chapter 16. And this is where God rained manna down from heaven and fed the Israelites with quail. And here's why that's important. If you read the scripture, it talks specifically about the fact that at night, God provided quail, and in the daytime, He provided manna. And why that's so important is first, they never saw manna. Nobody knew what manna was. Have you ever seen it? I haven't either. We've never seen manna, but God will rain down what you need because He is the provider. And He heard the grumblings of the Israelites. And I am so grateful that even when I grumble, the Lord will still provide. So he heard the grumblings of the Israelites and said, you know what? And told Moses, listen, I'm going to take care of my people and I want you to let them know and give them some instruction. Oh, let me say this. There are times in our lives where provision comes with instruction. So, in other words, if I want God to provide, I can't ask Him to provide and not be willing to follow the rules of His provision. And so when you read the story more, you see that he was very specific about when to take and what to take and how much to take. And he did that because he wanted to see if the people would be greedy, if the people would follow instruction, and if they would trust him to be the God who provides daily. Because they were hungry. And y'all, if you read it, you see that they didn't actually start complaining about hunger until 2 months into the journey, and they were in the wilderness. And so, even in the wilderness, God will provide, even in the wilderness. And some of us don't want to be in the wilderness, but it's in the wilderness that we've seen Jireh. So, don't discount walking in the wilderness. Don't discount being in the wilderness. That is sometimes where Jireh will provide. And so, as you look at the Israelites and you see them in the wilderness, what I want to remind you is sometimes God's not going to remove the wilderness from you. Sometimes He's not going to remove it because He has to get His glory in the wilderness, and He has to show you who He is in the wilderness, in the lack, in the dry place, in when you don't have anything. That's when He will show up as Jireh. And so, in this moment with the manna, he gave manna from heaven, but he told Moses specifically, he said, listen, tell everybody to take what they need, enough for them in their tent. And Omer is what it said. And an Omer is like about 2 liters. Take what you need, each person in the house, but don't take too much. Take exactly what you need. And they did. And some took more. And when they took more, the breadworms would come and eat it. You know why? Because God is saying in this moment to the Israelites, I have you. Give us this day our daily bread. I'm going to give you exactly what you need when you need it. So sometimes it's not about overflow. Sometimes it's about enough. Sometimes it's about just knowing that God will take care of me. And that's faith and trust in God that no matter what I see, no matter if I'm in the wilderness, no matter the lack that's in my life, I trust God for my daily bread. I trust God to give me everything that I need. So God wanted to see if the Israelites would trust Him by saying, I'm going to give you provision and I'm going to provide, but I'm going to provide what you need. Oh, doesn't it sting when you are praying and asking God for things and God is like, I'm going to give you what you need. I'm not going to give you too much because you can't handle it. I'm not going to give you overflow because you're not ready. I'm going to give you just what you need. And Jireh is daily. That means every single day of my life, He's providing. I don't have to wait until the moment where something great happens. Every day He's providing. How do I know? Because I wake up every day. How do I know? Because I have food in my pantry and in my refrigerator. How do I know He's a daily provider? Because He's given me the ability to use my hands and my brain and my feet and all of that to work. So, how do I know He's a provider? He has provided access to Him, access to His word. He provides daily. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to not have it. I can trust Him because He is a daily provider. And for the Israelites, He provided every single day for them. They had food every single day. That is how amazing Jireh is. So they didn't have to store it up. They didn't have to be greedy and hoard it and hold on to it because the God that they served provided for them daily. Sister, there are some things that you need to let go of so that the Lord can provide. There are some things and some people that you've been holding on to, but you've been asking God to enlarge your territory. You've been asking God to bless you indeed. You've been asking God for abundance. You've been asking God for exceeding abundantly, but you won't let go of the things that you're holding on to. You're so greedy that you're thinking you got to keep it when God is saying, listen, I'm the God who can provide for you daily. So if you just trust me and give it to me, I'm going to bless you. And I'm going to do it in ways you didn't expect. Stuff like manna never happened before. That's who I am. I have a way to take care of you that you can't even begin to imagine. that you could even begin to explain, that you have never seen before. But I want to know that you trust me. So, see, this isn't about abundance. This is about dependence. Are you totally, are we totally 100% dependent on God? And so I want you to think about this, and I want you to write this down or save this, bookmark this part. But I want you to think about this. See, here is how amazing God is. Sometimes God doesn't give enough for the week or for the month or for the year. Sometimes God gives evidence that He's going to show up again tomorrow. So there are some times that everything that you're expecting to happen won't happen, but it's enough. It's a little wink from God that says, hey, I see you and I'm taking care of you. Hey, I am supplying your needs. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to give you this little wink to let you know that I'm showing up again tomorrow. I just need your faith. And if your faith lines up with what I'm about to do, you will see the exceeding, you will see the abundance, but you got to be willing to trust me. And y'all, it's funny because when I was writing this and when I was putting this together and bringing these two Bible studies together, I thought about it. I'm like, Jireh is so, I mean, we say the word, and the song Jireh, You Are Enough. It changes the perspective of that from Maverick City when it says, You are enough. I will be content in every circumstance. But even that, you are enough. You are the God who provides, and you provide enough. Get that in your spirit. You provide enough. You don't give me too much because you know I can't handle it. You don't cause me and give me not enough. You don't give me just a little. You give me enough. You have created me and you formed me in my mother's womb. So you know exactly what I need. So you are the God who provides exactly what I need. You are the God who provides exactly where I am. You are the God who provides based on what you know about me, based on my lack, based on my concerns, based on my struggles. You are the God who provides. And that is a blessing. So Jireh is who he becomes. It's not about a specific thing. Jireh is who he becomes. And see, this is where most people struggle because they think Jireh is money or an opportunity, or they think it's a solution, or they think Jehovah Jireh is the way out. They think that that's who Jehovah Jireh is. But I guarantee you that when you're walking with Jehovah Jireh, you will see that he's not just the tangible. He's the provider of the intangible peace, strength, clarity, joy, direction. He's the God of those things. And when you have those things, then the other stuff becomes less of a desire for you. When you seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all the other things will be added. But we're expecting God to provide things. When God is like, I want to provide you a relationship with me, an experience with me. I want to provide you with my presence because in my presence there's fullness of joy, and at my right hand are pleasures forevermore. I want to provide those for you. So you are limiting me to the God of stuff when I want you to surrender to me so that I can be the God who supplies all your needs according to the riches and glory. See, when we say, my God shall supply all my needs, most of the time, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Most of the time, when you say that scripture, you're talking about tangible needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we really get into the essence of who Jehovah Jireh is, he is so much more than the things that I need. He becomes who I need. And that is so much more than anything that I could ever ask for. So sometimes God isn't going to send you what you need, he's going to become it. He's going to become exactly what you need. Because the greatest provision God can give us is his presence. It's his presence. So, sister, you've been asking God to provide. And all the while, he's been saying, hey, I want you to look again. Because what you're waiting on, I may have already prepared. What you're worried about, I may already be sustaining. And what you're asking me to send, I may already be. So maybe today isn't about asking God for more. Maybe when you hear this podcast episode, it's not about asking God for more. Maybe it's about recognizing him more. Maybe it's about understanding Jehovah Jireh as not just the God who provides, but the God who is already ahead of you, already working, and is already enough. He's already enough. He's already there. He's already making ways. He's already preparing. So you don't have to sit and cry and beg for God to be Jehovah Jireh. He is Jireh. He is the God who provides. So I want you to sit with that. And today, as you walk, as you hear, I encourage you to just say, Jireh. Because now when you say Jireh is so much bigger than a providing God in that regard. It's now a God who goes before you. It's now a God who is creating space for you. It's now a God of peace or whatever it is you're lacking. So this is the time for you to say Jireh. So I pray that this message blesses you. I pray that you see God in a different light. I pray that you understand the characteristics of Jehovah Jireh and that today be the day that you take the limits off of what God can do. Welcome to Joy for the Journey, the podcast where we explore the winding paths of purpose, faith, and joy. I'm your host, Joy, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. Are you a woman seeking more than just existence and a soul yearning for fulfillment, purpose, and unwavering joy? Well, you're not alone. In this sacred space, we'll navigate the highs and lows, the doubts and triumphs, and the divine whispers guiding us toward our true calling. Through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and practical insights, Joy for the Journey is your compass, your confidant, and your catalyst for embracing the abundant life God intends for you. So if you're ready to reclaim your joy, renew your hope, and rediscover the woman God created you to be, join me on this adventure. Let's walk together step by step towards a life filled with purpose, passion, and unbridled joy. This is Joy for the Journey. Welcome aboard.